Hey everyone, I wanted to make a video today. I put out on social media asking people what kind of questions they had about cards or what kind of YouTube videos they would like to see, and somebody requested what kind of spreads I use. I don't usually utilize the traditional spreads like Celtic Cross, Horseshoe, Tree of Life, things like that, but I do utilize a little more of a holistic spread where I just kind of lay the cards out in a linear fashion and kind of read them from there. However, before I do that, I utilize what's called the first operation. It's a method invented by occultist Paul Foster Case, and I first read about it in Benebell Wen's book Holistic Tarot, which if you are a tarot practitioner or enthusiast, I would highly recommend picking up. It is amazing. So I thought I'd show you guys how to do that, or how I utilize the spread that I use to give you guys a better idea of how I read the cards. So for example, we will use a pretend seeker or querent, and let's say this person is a Capricorn female in her 30s. So the first thing I do is find which card represents them using your astrological sign. So she is a Capricorn female in her 30s. She would be the Queen of Pentacles. Generally, if it is a woman, this is the way I do it. If it's a girl 30 or under, it's a page. If it's a woman 30 or older, it's a queen. And then same thing with guys. If it's a guy who is 30 and younger, I use a knight. And if it's a guy 30 or older, I use a king. So the first thing I'm going to do is find her significator within the deck. So because she is a Capricorn woman, I'm going to find the Queen of Pentacles. This is something, if somebody already has a significator they want you to use, that's something to ask. If, you feel drawn or they feel drawn to a certain card based on their personality or their situation or their question, by all means use that. I never actually used significators before until I read Benebell's book, and she made excellent points on why significators really help. They really kind of help zero in the energy of the reading, and I found that the more I use them, the more accurate my readings are, which is awesome. So right here we have the Queen of Pentacles, and I'm just using the traditional Rider-Waite. So once I find the significator, I show them so they know what it looks like. I might explain, okay, so you're Capricorn female, Queen of Pentacles. Pentacles is earthy, nurturing, a little sensual. So I'd show it to them so they know what it looks like and what to look for. Then I would stick it back in the deck. And then I would shuffle, and as I shuffle, I would ask what their question is. So I'd say, for example, this girl recently moved back home to save a little bit of money. She moved back home, starting a new job, and just kind of wants to see what's going on, what energies are present, what she needs to be aware of. She lived in a big city for a long time, but now she's back home, as a lot of people do, to save money and, kind of reassess life and rethink about it, and, rethink her priorities. So I give it a good shuffle, I would then hand it to the querent to shuffle, or I'd hand it to them to cut the deck however they feel comfortable. Some readers don't like to have people handle their cards. I don't think it's a big deal. I actually like it. I think it helps infuse their energy into the cards, and kind of, puts their own magic into them. So once everything's shuffled and the querent cuts the deck or shuffles the deck, I will then lay the pile down. And then I will ask the querent to cut the deck in half, this way, like that, and then take the first pile and make that another pile, and take the second pile and make that a third pile. So what we have here, so you're going from right to left, which is counterintuitive, could we read left to right. So once I have the cards cut into 4 piles, I explain to the querent that the 4 piles represent the suits of the tarot as well as the elements. So going from right to left, we have wands, which represents the element of fire. It represents our creativity, our drive, our ambition. This pile right here represents cups, so it represents the heart, emotions, relationships, intuition, the ebb and flow of life. This pile represents swords, so it is thought, intellect. It represents the element of air. It's conflict, it's decision-making, it's our mental clarity. And then the last pile is pentacles, which is earth and represents home, finances, property, health, family. I like to think of Earth as the tangible element, and the things that are tangible in our life that we can feel and touch and smell and see. So once you lay the 4 piles out and explain what each pile represents, you will then go through each pile and try to find the significator. The purpose of that is whatever pile the significator is found in is the aspect of the querent's life that needs the most attention, or the aspect of the question that needs the most attention. So for instance, our querent asked about work and home and saving money. So traditionally, it should be found in Pentacles. Paul Foster Case says that if you do not find the significator in the suit that best describes the situation, the reading should not continue. I do not believe that is true. I take Benebell Wen's point of view where, you know, yes, Pentacles makes some more sense for this certain question, but say it's found in Cups. You know, her relationships with the people that she'll be seeing and meeting and being with at home might play a bigger part in her journey than previously thought. So it's really just kind of, you know, despite the question, it kind of helps give an overall theme, an overarching, you know, thought process to their situation, and it kind of adds another layer. This is also really good if people just have a general question. So if someone sits down in front of you and says, you know, well, just tell me what the cards say, this is a great way to kind of really give focus to the reading so you can proceed from there. So once I explain that, I will try to find which pile the significator is in. So for this querent, we had the Queen of Pentacles. So it was not in Wands, so I would set that aside. Let's see here. Ta-da. This part takes the longest, so just let your querent know to be patient. All right, this one is Swords. Here we go. Okay, so it's in Swords. So then what I would do is, depending on how long the reading is, depending how much time you have, depending if it's an email reading, really depends on how many cards I'll draw. But for this instance, let's say that we find the Queen of Pentacles right here in the center. I will draw out then a certain number of cards to the left and a certain number of cards to the right. So for this, let's do 3. Alright, so once I have all the cards laid out, I will set the significator on top. Since you don't really read the significator, it's more of like a focal point for the reading. So the first thing I'll do is I will just take a look at the cards, see what we have. One of the first things I like to do is see how many major cards there are, because obviously the major cards represent, you know, pretty palpable universal energies that really need attention paid to them. I will look at any suits that are or are not present. And then it's kind of, you know, start talking about what I see. So the first thing that I notice here is the woman asked, you know, she lived in a big city for a long time. She's now moved home to a quieter, you know, suburb in a different state. She wants to save up money. She's getting a new job to kind of, you know, reassess her life and think about what she wants. So the first 2 cards that really draw my attention are the Wheel of Fortune and the 5 of Cups. The Wheel of Fortune is a card of cycles, it's a card of karma, it's a card of endings and beginnings, very much related to death and the Fool and the World. It's kind of, since it's the middle of the arcana, the major arcana, it's kind of, you know, speaks to all of those cards together. And then we have the 5 of Cups. You know, I get the sense that this woman did not really want to leave, really did not want to go, but found it necessary. And, you know, she's really focusing on, well, she really needs to focus on what good this is going to bring in her life, and instead of, you know, what she's missing out on or what she can't do anymore. You know, the good thing is that she's taken the responsibility, she's taken the initiative to better her life, and because this was found in the pile representing Swords, you know, action is a huge overarching theme of her question. You know, thinking things out and taking some serious action, and she's done that. She may not be extremely happy with it, but, you know, she has done it, and that's awesome. We also have the 10 of Swords here, you know, which is definitely a card of finite endings. This says to me that this decision was definitely needed, and again, to kind of go with these two dudes, it may not have been wanted, but it was necessary, and she made the right decision in doing so. So for me, these three cards are definitely related. Because this quote unquote spread does not have any fixed place for the cards to go, I will often pick them up, move them around, show people how they relate to each other, or how I think they relate to each other. So then I might send them aside and like keep these guys separate from the ones I haven't read yet, just to kind of help the queer, understand what's been read, what I've talked about, what needs to be talked about. So the next card that I think, or I see, or I want to talk about is the King of Swords. Because this, her significator was found in the pile representing swords, like we already talked about, thought and action are a huge, huge deal. Thinking things through and acting on it. And the King of Swords represents, to me, it represents her. It represents, she's made this decision. Again, it might not be something that she's super happy about, but she's doing what's necessary. And I think the King of Swords speaks volumes to that. He is somebody who takes responsibility very seriously, does not take it lightly. It may not make him, everyone's favorite person. It may not make him, the life of the party. But he does what's necessary, and I definitely think that, this card helps reinforce these three cards, where it may not have been something that she wanted to do, but it was definitely necessary, and it was the right decision. She's showing ownership over her life. She's showing ownership over her responsibilities and her actions and her decisions. So that's awesome. And I would tell the queer, no one likes to be the person who is follows the rules all the time and has to have that critical eye, but sometimes it's necessary, and the King of Swords is here to remind her of that she's on the right path, she's making the right decision. It may not be what she initially planned or wanted to happen, but sometimes we have to do what's necessary in order to move further in life, and she made that decision, and it was the right one. To go along with kind of that, that needed responsibility, that needing to take on that responsibility despite maybe not wanting to do it, we have the Hermit and we have the Star. Now, to me, this card speaks volumes about taking the time that she is, having to, live at, say, her parents' house rent-free, and to take on a new job that maybe isn't much pressure, to really use this time to reflect on what it is exactly she wants, what it is she really, really needs. This card really helps me understand that, this decision was the 100% right decision. She really needs this time to not focus so much on, affording rent and, going out all the time and living that big city life. It wasn't working out for her, and she made the right decision to go back home, so now she really need to think about the whys. Why didn't living in a big city work out? Why was moving home necessary? What's she going to do to remedy any problems or challenges that she has? This is going to be a really good time for her to reflect and think about all the things that she's decided to do. And again, we're in the, the significator was found in the Suit of Swords, so, there's a lot of thinking that needs to get done, a lot of reflecting, and the Hermit definitely speaks to that. And then last but not least, we have the Star, which I think is a great card. And again, because this spread is, there are no fixed places for the cards to go, you can really help create a story and tell a story and really use your intuition. This spread has really helped me hone my intuition, because instead of being like, well, this card's in the past, I think it means this, but because it's in the past, it means it's the past, it really helps me create a really strong dialogue between me and the queer or client. So I would tell them that, last but not least, we have the Star here, and the Star is a star of hope, is a star of guidance. I would tell her to continue having faith and knowing that this decision was right. It may not have been what she wanted to do initially. It may not be something that she's super happy about, but she's taking responsibility for her actions. And in doing so, she's going to really allow herself the time to reflect on what needs to get done, what she needs to do. And in the end, there is always that light at the end of the tunnel. She's doing what she needs to do now, but, it's only going to open up new doorways for her. It's only going to open up new paths. It's only going to allow her to really see the light once, the darkness is over. Like I always say, you can't have the light without the dark. Um, so in conclusion, I would say, it may not have been exactly what you wanted 100%, but there is hope, there is light, and it was definitely the right decision. She just needs to really use this time effectively, and use it responsibly, and really, not fall into her old habits, because otherwise she won't get out what she needs to get out of this experience. She needs to keep her eye on the prize, and if she does that, there's no reason why she can't, get her life together and move back to the city and keep living the life that she wants to live. So that's an example. After the reading, I will usually take the cards and I will stick them back into their not respective files, but back into the deck. And then I like to pull one last advice card, just to kind of help give the reading some closure, kind of give the querent some final thoughts to think about as they, go about their life. So I'll shuffle it really, oh crap, the star. So I'll shuffle it again really quick. Sometimes, okay, well. So I'll shuffle it again really quick. Sometimes I'll have the querent cut the deck again if they want. Sometimes I'll have them shuffle the deck. Again, it's all a personal preference. Some people don't like their cards touched. I don't mind. So I will just shuffle and then just pull one last advice card. Ooh, so for her I have the Devil. And again, I think this really speaks volumes to really reflecting on why she's doing this and why she's why she's moved back home, and to not fall into old habits. I think she has two choices. She can stay at home, get a nice job, reflect and work on and bettering herself, or she can fall into old habits and say, hey, I'm not paying rent anymore, I have less bills, the quality of life, the cost of living is less here, I can really go hard and party and hang out and, waste my time. So there's definitely a decision. She can do one of each, but this card is definitely cautioning her to take the former and not the latter, because if she falls back in old habits, things aren't going to get better. They're just going to remain the same, and she's not going to get out of this vicious, karmic cycle that the Wheel of Fortune talked about. So I would just once again caution her to, stay positive, to really work as hard as she intends, and she won't risk falling back into that, that cycle of bad habits. So yeah, that's what I do. Like I said, sometimes I pull more cards, sometimes I pull less cards. I do utilize a few spreads, but that one is probably the one that I use the most. I really think it helps create a strong dialogue with the querent, and helps me really, really hone my intuition, and really just speak directly from the heart, and from the gut. And it's proven me well in the past, and I hope that it continues to. If you guys have any questions, let me know. I'd love to hear your comments, questions, concerns. Sorry this video was a little off the cuff, but I had the time this morning, so I thought I would make it. If you guys are interested in a reading or interested in connecting in any way, all my information is below. And that's all that I have. Have a wonderful day, and I will